I'm Igor and this is the List Building Lifestyle, a podcast for those who want to build a large profitable email list and make six figures from anywhere in the world. If you would like to get rich by building a large email list while helping people, this podcast is for you. I also invite you to attend a free web class I'm conducting this week to find out how I built a list of 4,331,656 email subscribers at a profit. Secure your free seat at igor.cx. Attend this free workshop to discover an easy way to get 50 to 500 new email leads per day on complete autopilot without losing tons of money. Just go to igor.cx to attend this free web class. And now, once again, it's time to claim your list building lifestyle. Welcome back to another edition of the List Building Lifestyle with your host, Igor As a podcaster, and I've been doing this for a couple of years now, I always get the question, what tools do I use for my podcasting? And, this is the kind of question you can ask virtually every podcaster in the world, and typically you'll get about 50% of those tools to be the same, but the other 50% is always different. So what I thought, after listening to a few podcasters talk about the tools they use and the way they do it, just release an episode and answer this question once and for all the way I do it. Now, something you need to understand about me, I really hate technical stuff. Not that I can't do it, I just don't like to do it, right? So in other words, not that I can't cook my dinner, but I just really don't like the process, especially considering that I'm done with it in 7 minutes, and then I've invested like 55 minutes cooking and then 7 minutes eating it. So it's really not a practical use of my time. So to the same extent, I treat technical stuff as a necessary evil, and when I set up my technical routines, I try to do it in a way that doesn't take a lot of time, that takes minimum effort, even if it costs a little bit more money. So, whatever I do is typically, I'll follow the 80-20 rule. What is like the 20% of effort that I need to invest in order to get the 80% of results? I'm not concerned with creating the highest quality sound bites. I'm not concerned with creating, the absolute best podcast cover. I'm not concerned with most things, and I'm not really trying to make them great. But I will go for the good enough is good enough rule, which is a rule I learned from Dan Kennedy in his book about managing people for profit. And he says basically, look, nobody's going to be a superstar. Very few people, if ever, that you hire will ever become superstars that you can rely with your eyes closed. And for that reason, whoever you bring to work with you just needs to be good enough. And the systems you create, of course, need to support that. So as far as my good enough podcast setup is concerned, there's really only 6 tools that I use. The first tool I use is Blue Raspberry mic. So it's a mic you can get on their website, Blue Raspberry. Just Google it, Blue Raspberry. And it's a really cool mic because it suppresses a lot of the noise. You can actually use it to record in noisy environments, and it will do a pretty good job. Now, it's not the most expensive mic ever. I think it's only $120 or something like that. But it's totally worth the investment if you plan on releasing more than one episode a week. Definitely worth the investment for me. The other thing it does, this mic, it's really portable, so you can record anywhere. So if you travel a lot, or if you want to record out of your car, it doesn't matter. You can use this mic to do it, and that's why I like it, a lot. Not to mention that all you need to do is just hook it up to your USB port, and that's it. Really. It also works from your iPhone. So if you wanted to record from your iPhone or from your tablet or from your Android device, you can also connect it there. They got, the special kit for that. So really, it doesn't matter the device you record from, you can use Raspberry to record. And the great part about this is that this is I consider this to be a high-end microphone because I started my podcast and I used just the very regular, boring Apple headset to do it. So I would just connect my iPhone headphones to my laptop, to my MacBook, and that's how I would record it. And then I would send the file over to my audio engineer, who I hired on Upwork, and he would do the rest. And sure, it wasn't the highest quality sound, but it was better than most. for sure. And again, I didn't even know what I was doing at the time. So it was very easy. And my focus was just getting started. Eventually I upgraded, quote unquote upgraded, to this microphone. But again, it didn't change the fact that people continued listening to my podcast, even though my sound wasn't perfect. And people like Russell Brunson are a good example to the fact that the sound quality for your podcast is not that important. And yes, I know all of my podcasting buddies are now probably turning over and shaking their fists at me, especially my buddy Jay, probably from the Interchange Maker podcast. But seriously, I've tracked this. It didn't affect my sales. It didn't affect my response rates. It didn't affect my downloads. Getting a higher quality microphone and making it crispier sounding or whatever doesn't really change much, because it's the content that people want. And specifically, if you're trying to build a brand around yourself, if you're trying to build your quote unquote guru brand, what people really want to know is how you think. They really don't they don't concern themselves with the quality of the sound on your podcast. It's mostly about how do you think and what are your secrets. That's what people want to know. So the first tool is the Blue Raspberry mic. The second tool I use is the recording tool, ScreenFlow. So I typically record from my MacBook, and ScreenFlow is a software that allows you to create these great looking screen capture videos. But what it also does, you can actually set it up so it only records your sound, so it only records your microphone. And when you produce the file, it actually produces it in this really high quality audio format. So even if your audio sucks and you export it in a high quality audio format, the audio engineers, they know how to fix it, which is great, which is why I used ScreenFlow. Now, some of my friends use Audacity, other friends use GarageBand. It, again, doesn't matter. As long as this thing records your sound and is capable of exporting that sound in a certain format that your audio engineer wants to work with, you're good. Even if you're recording off of your MacBook using the QuickTime option, again, still probably works just as well. The third tool I use is Google Drive. So the reason I use Google Drive is because anytime I'm done recording the episodes, and I typically go ahead and record 4 of them at a time, I will then put the unprocessed raw files into a Google Drive folder from which the audio engineer will pull the files. Now then, once he's done editing the files and putting on the bumpers into the files, then he puts them back onto the Google Drive, and from there another person takes the files and loads them into the podcasting software, which is a tool I'm going to share with you in a minute. So basically, Google Drive is like this collective hub where I can put files up, get files from, so it makes it very easy to collaborate with my audio engineer and the rest of my team who's responsible for making that podcast happen. Yo, it's Igor. If you're loving the content, hop on over to listbuildinglifestyleshow.com for more free training and a free transcript of this episode. Oh, and I'd really appreciate if you logged into iTunes and rated the show. It really helps. Thanks. Tool number 4 is WordPress. And I use WordPress to host my podcast website where we release the podcast episodes. And, when I started the podcast, I didn't have a website. I actually only had my iTunes page, but now we have an iTunes page, a website, a Stitcher profile, and we're even on Spotify. So if you got a Spotify account and you go to List Building Lifestyle and you go there and you search for List Building Lifestyle, you'll be able to find us. So that's pretty cool. And WordPress is just a very easy way to manage the podcast website. There's a bunch of plugins that allow you to stick like a player on your website so people can stream the episode directly from the site. Of course, while they're on the site, you can offer them additional things such as the transcript for your show. And to create the transcripts, I use rev.com, which is tool number 5 on the list. So rev.com, just honestly, wow. I mean, rev.com people, if you're listening to this, I'm applauding you right now. The service you've built is just amazing. I think that's one of those things that have really improved the quality of my work and the quality of my life by not having to deal with transcripts and any of that stuff. And I also use Rev to create captions for my videos. Probably going to be discussing that in another episode when we're going to be talking about the tools I use for creating my affiliate promotions. So rev.com is the place I go to for transcripts. And again, we post the transcript on our website, so you can actually check it out right now. You can go to listbuildinglifestyleshow.com and you can look up this very same episode. You can stream it, you can get the transcript, and see how we do it. And last but not least, there's one more software that I'm using in order to manage my podcast, which makes this whole thing very, very easy. It actually makes it, accessible for someone who's not as technical as me. So the tool I'm using is Libsyn. And Libsyn is basically an online tool. It's like a web interface that connects to all of your podcast outlets, such as your iTunes account, your Spotify account, your YouTube account, your Stitcher account, Google Play, whatever. And it automatically, once you've uploaded the file into Libsyn, it automatically distributes the podcast into all the necessary outlets. And you can even pre-schedule this stuff. So if you sit down and you record like 8 episodes ahead of time, you can actually tell Libsyn exactly when to release them and how to release them, and it just does a great job. It never fails. So definitely Libsyn is highly recommended in order to distribute your podcast correctly. So these are the 6 tools, really. I mean, that's all I use. That's really all I use in order to publish my podcast. It's the blue Raspberry mic. But again, if you don't have one, if you don't want to spend money on one, just grab it, like any headset. Your iPhone headset does perfectly fine. The first 200 episodes I recorded them using my iPhone headset. So either your iPhone headset or the blue Raspberry mic, a recording software on your computer of some sort. It could be ScreenFlow, it could be GarageBand, it could be Audacity, QuickTime, Google Drive or Dropbox in order to upload and download files from the server and easily share them with your audio engineer, who you can hire on a website like Upwork.com. WordPress, if you want to build yourself a podcast website, which is a little bit more advanced. Rev.com to transcribe your podcast episodes in order to offer this as a bribe maybe to your visitors, to your listeners, so they go ahead and they grab this, or maybe just to create show notes, because it's easier to create the notes from the transcript than to listen to your entire episode and kind of write things down by hand. And last but not least, Libsyn, the very software that we use to distribute the podcast into all the media outlets. So definitely get Libsyn if you're planning to do podcasting. So there you go. These are the 6 tools that I use to publish this podcast. So last I checked, we crossed 250 episodes, and these were the tools we've used all along. And the beauty about podcasting is first off, obviously, it's a great way to communicate with your tribe, right? So releasing a podcast is just an amazing way to stay in touch with everybody. The second part of it is that it's really good for building relationships, and it doesn't cost much at all. You can actually get away with using all free tools, aside from maybe Libsyn, right? Because Libsyn does cost you a little bit of money. I think it's $20 a month. And Rev.com, if you want to get those transcripts done really, really quickly, then that'll cost you $1 per transcribed minute, which is not a lot, but again, you can probably do it yourself if you're really trying to save up some money. But my point is, it doesn't cost nearly as much money as people think, and you don't really need a professional recording studio or anything like that. Like up until recently, I was recording most of my podcasts out of a random room in my house. Only recently I got hooked up with an office space, with like a home office space, and I even had a friend recommend me get those sound suppression panels, basically to suppress the echo. Now, they help. Don't get me wrong, they help a lot. So there's way less echo now in my room. But again, somehow I got past 240 something episodes without these panels, and I was fine. So the reason I mention this is because I see a lot of people think that, to do podcasting, I really have to understand the audio part of it. I really have to, get down the technical side of things. No, you don't. No, you don't. You really don't need to do that. All you need to do is just sit down, record your content, and have someone else worry about all that other stuff. And to record the content, all you need is a headset and a recording software. That's about it. Okay, so if you ever want to do a podcast, it's time you do it. And if you're looking for someone to help you with podcasting, then I highly recommend you reach out to my buddy Jay from the Interchange Maker podcast, who actually runs a white glove service helping you start and grow your own podcast. And I don't recall the website, but you can probably Google Jay Interchange Maker, and you can probably find out a lot about their service. But they're probably the best right now that I would recommend in order to help you start your own podcast. So that concludes another episode of the List Building Lifestyle. This is Igor Kayfetz. Thank you so much, and until next time we chat, have a good one. Thank you for tuning in to the List Building Lifestyle. Get access to previous episodes, the transcript of today's show, and exclusive content at our website at listbuildinglifestyleshow.com. Also, don't forget to claim your free seat at the traffic workshop I'm conducting this week, where I'm showing how I built a list of 4,331,656 email subscribers without losing money, and how my clients are putting anywhere from 50 to 500 new leads per day on their list at a profit without any list building experience. Just go to igor.cx to claim your free seat now.